Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me so bright and early today.
Lovely day you picked.
Beautiful day. Before I begin my formal remarks, two thoughts. I want to acknowledge the Navy personnel who were gunned down last week in Pensacola and extend my personal condolences to their families and to the community around Pensacola. I've spoken with both the governor and I've spoken with Senator Scott as well. We're doing everything we can to make sure we're taking care of that community and working diligently. The Department of Defense will have some remarks, I think, sometime today, talking about the things that we're going to do to reduce the risk that something like this can ever happen again. And second, I want to condemn this morning's coordinated terrorist attack near Bagram Air Force Base in the strongest possible terms. Sounds like more than 4 dozen civilians were killed. The initial reports show that there were 5 coalition troops that were at least injured in the attacks as well. The attack seriously damaged a hospital that was being rebuilt for the Afghan people. This is precisely the kind of activity that we're working to reduce through the efforts that we're undertaking. The people of Afghanistan deserve an end to these senseless acts of violence. The United States stands with the Afghan people, their security forces, and their desire to bring peace and stability to Afghanistan. On a happier note, I want to also take a moment to celebrate the release of Xiu Wang. The Trump administration secured his release from an Iranian jail over the weekend. Bringing home wrongfully detained Americans is one of the very highest priorities of this administration. Now to current business. As you all know, yesterday the world marked International Human Rights Day. The administration took a historic number of new actions this week to stand up for oppressed people all around the world and to take action against their oppressors. Since Monday, the U.S. government has designated an additional 68 individuals and entities in 9 countries for corruption and human rights abuses using the Global Magnitsky Act. As you'll recall, that act authorized the United States government to call out corruption, human rights offenders, freeze their assets, ban them from entering our great country. The 68 individuals and entities sanctioned this week hail from Burma, from Cambodia, from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, from Latvia, Libya, Pakistan, Serbia, Slovakia, and South Sudan. The human rights abuses that we're attempting to stop include extrajudicial killings, mass executions of unarmed detainees, the murder of an investigative journalist, and the use of rape, murder, and abductions as weapons of war. Notably, we sanctioned 4 Burmese military leaders responsible for rape, executions, and systemic violence against the innocent Rohingya villagers and other religious and ethnic minorities. We are the first and only country to take public action against the commander-in-chief of the Burmese military forces, Min Aung Hlaing, and his deputy. We call on others to do the same. Altogether, these designations constitute the most significant set of global Magnitsky sanctions taken to date. Yesterday, too, the State Department designated 2 individuals for visa ineligibility for gross violation of human rights. These actions are separate from the GLOMAG sanctions that I spoke of previously. The first individual is a former Saudi diplomat, Mohammed Al-Taiba. He was the consul general in Istanbul in 2018 when Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered in the consulate. The second individual is a Russian, Aslan Eraskanov, head of the Ministry of Interior Affairs for the city of Grozny in the Chechen Republic of the Russian Federation. We believe him to be responsible for the summary execution of 27 human beings. And finally, I'd like to turn to the Islamic Republic of Iran. As long as its malign behavior continues, so will our campaign of maximum pressure. Today, I'm announcing designation of 3 Iranian transportation companies that helped Iran import items for its weapons of mass destruction programs. These programs involved the siphoning of funds away from the oppressed Iranian people, and they augment the regime's campaign of terror and intimidation at home and throughout the world. The companies designated today are as follows: the Islamic Republic of Iran Shipping Lines. It's the shipping line of choice for Iranian proliferators and procurement agents. Arisel's WMD designation was lifted in January 2016 under the JCPOA, and that was an enormous mistake. Since then, that entity is knowingly engaged in activities and transactions that materially contribute to Iran's proliferation of WMDs. To allow exporters of humanitarian goods sufficient time to find alternative shipping methods, the designation will become effective 180 days on June 8th of next year. Second, we're designating eSail Shipping Company, a firm based in Shanghai. eSail knowingly transports illicit materials from Iran's Aerospace Industries Organization, which oversees all of Iran's missile industry. It has also worked with at least 2 other Iranian organizations subject to UN sanctions. Similarly to the previous one, this will take effect 180 days from today. We're also designating Mahan Air and 3 of its sales agents effective immediately. You'll note Mahan Air is previously designated under counterterrorism authorities back in October of 2011 for providing support to the IRGC forces. But today's designation recognizes the specific role Mahan Air plays in WMD proliferation through its shipments of UN-restricted missile and nuclear items to Iran, including controlled graphite and T-700 carbon fiber. In addition, the United States is sanctioning an Iranian shipping network that helps smuggle weapons from Iran to Yemen to support the IRGC Quds Force fighters. Today's designations put the world on notice. Those who engage in illicit transactions with these companies will risk exposure to sanctions themselves. I also want to remind Americans and people of all nationalities about the massive risks associated with travel to Iran. The State Department has previously issued a level 4 travel advisory for that country. It's our highest threat level. Americans, and particularly dual national Iranian Americans traveling to Iran, face a very high risk of kidnapping, arrest, and detention. All of the actions taken this week get to the heart of what makes America unique. We're a nation that not only believes in unalienable rights of all people, but was founded on protecting those rights. We don't just talk about them. We take action in support of them. We defend them around the world because it's our duty to do so. It's who we are. We are, for instance, watching the trial in Cambodia of opposition leader Kem Sokha. We're keeping an eye on all of the activity in the new government of Sri Lanka and much more.